Hello, good morning. My name is Christy. I'm so delighted to welcome you to my channel. How do you do? I hope you had a very wonderful weekend. The weather is quite pleasant today. It's sunny. It's not too hot, but sunny and beautiful. How are you keeping up? In today's video, I'd like us to discuss gratitude. Yes, gratitude. Gratitude is something that is expected of every human being. In fact, every living thing, even dogs, are grateful. Animals, pets, they show signs of appreciation, much more human beings. I went ahead to check out the meaning of gratitude, and I came across this once and I quite fell in love with them. Gratitude is an expression of thankfulness and appreciation, a recognition of the good things in one's life and the role others play in those positive events. The second one I fell in love with: gratitude, thankfulness, gratefulness is a feeling, and I like to add an expression of appreciation by a recipient of another's kindness. This kindness can be gifts, help, favors, even spending time, any other form of generosity to another person. Again, I saw gratitude is the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation for, and to return kindness through expression. This kindness that the recipient is returning is thankfulness. The responsibility to show gratitude is actually on the recipient for the kindness he has received or she has received, which can be expressed by saying thank you. Simple but heavy. Thank you. You can send a token, a gift, to the giver of the kindness. Yes. And this expression of thankfulness and appreciation will depend on the recipients. It could be a thank you. Sounds very simple, but it's very weighty, and honestly, it's so authentic. Thank you. It's really when it comes from your heart. Thank you. Could be a token, gift, small, something beautiful, just to say thank you. A card. You don't have to. Your bank account does not have to bleed to express appreciation. You can spend time with the person who has shown you kindness. So, this expression, like I said, is of thankfulness and appreciation will depend on the recipient. Will be a thank you card, spending time, with the person who had offered and given the kindness, and so on and so forth. But what is important is that there must be a clear expression to acknowledge and recognize that you have received kindness from the giver. That is the bottom line. There has to be a clear acknowledgement and recognition that you have received kindness from the giver. And that is gratitude. Yes, that is gratitude. It is pertinent to note that the giver of kindness may not necessarily be compelled to offer kindness, especially if he is not morally or legally bound. If he does not owe you a duty or commitment, what we're saying here is that The person who has given kindness may not necessarily be bound legally, morally, to give that kindness. Most of the times, just out of the kind nature of the giver. The fellow is just kind, benevolent, and decided to give that kindness. So it's not all the time that the giver is duty bound, morally, legally, to give kindness. And most of the time, the giver does not owe you. He doesn't owe you, so he's just being kind. Therefore, if someone gives you kindness because the fellow is kind natured, like we said, it will be completely out of place for the recipient not to show gratitude, not to be grateful, to begin to imagine that he could, that the giver could do more based on your own assessment. I call it wickedness. Somebody has given you kindness. You on your own, the receiver, you quickly assessed the fellow, and you're now judging the giver based on your own appraisal that he should have done even better or more. This is wickedness. This is wickedness. Because, like we said, the giver of kindness sometimes may not owe you, may not be legally bound or morally bound, may not be committed in any form to give you kindness. So, giving you kindness and you not being appreciative, for me, it is wickedness. I don't know whether I'm too harsh on that. So that is my own take on this. So you cannot, in your own corner, as a receiver, begin to judge the giver, begin to imagine his capacity, and expect that he should do more. It's not. It doesn't owe you. It's not bound legally, morally. Whatever he has done, he did out of his kind nature, because he's just a kind natured person. That's all. Yes. It would be unfair for the recipient to invoke entitlement spirit, and to start to make demands based on his association, relationship, friendship, and on with the giver. Yes, that's another point that's so pertinent, so important for us to soak it in. You do not invoke an entitlement spirit based on some random association. Maybe you were in school together. At some point, you attended the same vocational, whatever. You cannot invoke an entitlement spirit. You cannot say based on the relationship you had at some point, because of that, he is bound to give you whatever kindness you desire. No, don't invoke any entitlement spirit. This, where I'm from, my own part of the world, we call it Alonilowoba. No, you can't do that. Do not invoke entitlement spirit based on any relationship, friendship, association, and on with the giver. In fact, this is cruel. Like I said, it's cruelty, it's wickedness. You can't do that. You can't, because you're related in one way or the other to a benevolent person, and then you want to drain him. No. If there are more of your type around this giver, you may actually pull him down. and reduce his empire, financial empire, whatever empire, to rubbles if he is not careful and tactful. That is, if that giver does not gather himself together and take a position, you may actually drain him out and reduce his empire to rubbles. Some people, recipients this time around, are actually covetous. They are greedy. They are backstabbing. They are ungrateful. They are leeches. They leech on others. And some are outrightly wicked, mischievous. Hmm. They leech on others, like we said, while some others, recipients too, are grateful. They express gratitude to their benefactors. Givers, they don't review the kindness they received. Rather, they feel and express gratitude. So there are two categories of recipients of kindness now. Try to put them into categories. The ones that are bad, cruel, wicked, envious. They leech on others. They are ungrateful. Whatever it is that you give, they believe that you could have done better. They're covetous, they're greedy. They're not contented as the category of recipients. And the giver, the benevolent, the kind natured person must be wary of this category of recipients and be mindful, be tactful, remove themselves from these people because they will never be grateful. Don't let them drain you out. Don't let them reduce your empire to rubbles. This is a very terrible, that's a terrible um, part of recipients. The first category, the wicked ones, the cruel, the envious, the non-contented ones, covetous, greedy, backstabbing. That's the first category. We have the second category of receivers who are actually very grateful and they express it loud. They're so loud about their expression because they're appreciative. They know that this person does not necessarily owe them anything. He may choose not to give, and there's nothing, cannot take them to court for not being kind to you. So they show this appreciation. They're so grateful. They are kind natured. I want to say that. And I want to say that the first category are toxic people. They have negativity seated, deeply rooted in them, in their very essence. They may never likely change. They're just like that, wicked, bad natured, backbiting, covetous, greedy, and all. That's the first category. The second category are receivers, recipients who, from the way they have expressed gratitude, you will know they are kind natured, even they themselves. They are appreciative. And they express it loudly. It's not, it's from their hearts. They're genuinely grateful. Yes, that's the second category. And this second category are the ones who receive more kindness often. They receive more kindness because one, their aura would attract positivity, would attract kindness. You have showed kindness to a fellow, and the fellow has been extremely very appreciative, very kind, you will not withhold next time around, even when the fellow is not in particularly is not in a particularly dire need. You want to help that person out. You want to improve that person's lot. So the second category would likely, in fact, most likely, receive more kindness. While the first category, people would withdraw, remove themselves. And if they have to show kindness, they would most likely reduce whatever kindness they're showing. Because everybody wants to be appreciated. Everyone wants to be appreciated. So if your own is not to appreciate, then people will withdraw from you. And that's how it works. That's human nature. So I like to paint a scenario to make this conversation clearer. It's fiction. It's just to make this conversation clearer. So if he has any semblance, like I always say, it's just coincidence, not directed at anyone or at any event in particular. Yes. So there's a Launu. He repairs, in Madam Owenkoko's residence. He effects repairs like a utility fellow. So there was a day he appeared in Madam Owenkoko's residence to ask for a favor of 10,000 naira. We spend naira in my own part of the world. For him to attend to some family issues. Madam Owonikoko, in spite of the fact that she found it awkward, why her? They didn't have that kind of relationship. Lalu was just to effect repairs, get paid, and get out. Anyway, she still went ahead and gave him, that is Laulu, I think maybe 6,000 naira. Right in front of Madam Laulu, Madam Owonikoko, Laulu counted the money. They counted the money as if the amount will determine how appreciative he would be. That's what I think. And when he saw that it was 6,000, he just said a gruff thank you. Madam Owengogo was shocked. He was shocked. Why would he give her this attitude? Why? You just walked into my residence unannounced. Wasn't expecting. You asked for 10,000. I gave you 6,000 naira. I just gave it to you. It was for some family issues. I wasn't Madam Wonikoko's business in any way. And I gave you 6,000. It wasn't even a loan. It was a gift. And you were so disappointed that it showed in your attitude. And then you said a gruff thank you. He left. Now who left that day? Madam Owonikoko didn't say anything, but instantly, right in her mind, she knew that was the end of Laulu contract, or whatever it is that he was doing, whatever repairs he was doing in that residence. Madam Laulu ended whatever contract, whatever it was that he was doing for her, whatever repairs in that residence. Because for Madam Owonikoko, an ungrateful person, is a potential threat to her life and her properties. And I agree with her totally. An ungrateful person is a threat, potential one, to her life and her properties. I agree with her totally. So, and that was the end of our contract between Madam Wonikoko and Laura. I'm sure we can apply this to our day to day interactions with people because every time we give kindness, every time we receive kindness, that is how human beings are. We give and take. Therefore, be mindful and conscious when next you receive or you take kindness to express gratitude in your attitude and in what you say, what you do. How you express gratitude is so important. Please be mindful. Please be careful so you do not lapse into the category A of the covetous, the greed, the backstabbing, the never contented. So that you don't chase away kindness from you. Thank you very much for listening to me. Have a wonderful day. Please remember, subscribe to my channel, like and share my videos. Thank you. Bye.